Socialism, a Tool of the Bourgeoise. By James P. Pierce. Collectivization and socialism amongst the secular are the two greatest components of power. The power elite seem to be less elite and less mythic of old, especially when it comes to someone like Evola or the Catholic Church missing these marks. Now, did I say Marx, or was I being sarcastic and referring to Karl Marx? I hope by the end of this, my sarcasm reaches elite new heights. Now, to say it is a divine right, like those in power completely miss on nowadays, is a much more secure statement. There have been numerous political movements that have worked under collectivization and socialism, but not in the terms that are laid out nowadays. Much more centralization has occurred, with that there has bore obvious corruption. What makes democracy or republic dynamics different is that there is a social structure, and yet with even the threat to a natural order, such as something like the cultural Marxists trying to supplant the family for the state, well, there is a reason why that is the natural extension of government. To literally keep it in the family is what the power elites have been trying to accomplish for centuries. It is either outright power, with totalitarian, fascist and communist ends, or a preordination of power as a just monarch given to them from God. So where is the socialism in all of this, as I have yet to address it? Where is the collectivization process of their consolidations of power? I am not going to go off on more Great Reset memes here, or fear-mongering, as there is enough elaboration and general cantankerous polarizations about much of it. It is much more complex and socially dynamic than just a meme. The issue here is, just like the distinctions that the Church Fathers make, this is to be carried out into a governing symphonia. When someone who thinks like a Western philosopher, as much Gnosticism and man-made reasoning that has become, well, when a concept like theosis comes across their minds, they probably do think that they can become akin to God. The literal actualization or realization that they become a god, is obviously very far off the mark. Yet this is where the socialism dynamic comes into play with the bourgeoisie. They have a hard time breaking down religious and social structures, so therefore they have to get the religious structures to subvert and use the social structures to prop up another cause against God. It is all problematic at best, but it is used as a tool without anything that would reflect an ascetic process like theosis. This is a much more traditionalist take on criticizing the bourgeois, rather than any of real social dynamic complexity. Why? Well, if there are and were monarchs who were thought to have been preordained and then coronated by someone who had God working through them, then who is to think or doubt that it does not suit that elitist attitude? This is what causes that displacement of a theosis and leads it right into secular Gnosticism, or as I have previously stated, secular Satanism. Now anyone who is genuinely Christian, would look at the abstract and albeit moral consumed society of today, especially all the social causes that plague the West and especially America on the political far left, and see it as a persecution to the faith, flat out. I believe it was this quote: "The psychological trials of dwellers in the last times will be equal to the physical trials of the martyrs." In order to face these trials, we must be living in a very different world. Father Sir Rose is what crosses my mind when I think of the above questions as to what to do with the supposed elite of this world. Now the other issues is that this history has repeated itself, for if they believe themselves to be gods, yet the divine comedy or tragedy is that they will never come to know God. See the difference with the capitalization between the two, there is that godless leftism once again interjected into the mix. The issue here at hand is that the unifier against these supposed godlike elite, is that there is only so much they can do until God, our Lord, intervenes into their central socialized insane plans of collectivizing socialized power. This is where the traditionalist argument or philosophy starts to break down, as I pointed out in Evola's paganism or the Roman Catholic problems that have always been at war with the West, in replacing any kind of true faith of God. This is not to say there are not good Christians across the board, because there are. It is the deception and the consumed morality, or rather appearance of a disingenuous belief system, which that is what usually spurns from both underdeveloped Gnosticism, or other facets of New Age/Old Age religions outside of the true faith, couple that with developed social structures. Or as Evola pointed out, an involution, and there you have it,